do all of this before, well, they inevitably become nothing but a fragment of the past once again. Okay, I said that in my last video. Let me explain myself. Now, this is a topic I have wanted to discuss for a while, and finally, I feel as if now is a better time than ever. I've gushed time and time again over the magnificent Bohemian Rhapsody movie, and for good reason too. Regardless, as of now the excitement surrounding Queen in the movie is lessening. Sure, Queen will always be here, it's not like they're going to suddenly vanish, but as the saying goes, what goes up must come down, and I feel as if this phrase represents Queen at this time. Honestly, what more can Queen do? It's not like Queen are releasing any music anytime soon, so they are inevitably just going to become a thing of the past. Of course Queen are touring with Adam Lambert, though that is really it. Before I go off on an incomprehensible tangent, let's discuss this in further detail, looking at when this phenomenon has taken place in the past with Queen, and what you can do about Queen's diminishing popularity. So without further ado, let's begin. When Queen were effectively active, releasing albums, touring and whatnot, they did suffer from a brief decline in popularity. They were still offering content, yet many had felt as if they had experienced their supposed heyday, by which I'm referring to Queen from 1983 to 1985. The Hot Space album was a failure, garnering hate from fans and critics due to the band's sudden movement towards disco. Many had notions believing that the 70s was Queen's decade, and they had experienced their time in the limelight. Until many were proven wrong, with the iconic Queen at Live Aid showing that the band weren't done yet, to which this brief decline in popularity ended. This was the earliest point I saw something similar occur, yet there is a much better example of this phenomenon. After Queen sadly lost Freddie Mercury in the 90s, many noticed that they weren't publishing any real Queen albums. We got some compilations perhaps, and sure we got Made in Heaven, but that contains a lot of Freddie Mercury's solo tracks reworked, and only a handful of tracks they recorded near the end of his life. Moreover, they weren't touring or performing live at all. Things just didn't seem right. I reckon Queen knew that losing Freddie Mercury would have an everlasting impact on the band, quite obviously. Freddie Mercury was what made Queen, well, Queen. By the time it was the early 2000s, Queen were becoming a fragment of the past. They may have had Paul Rodgers for some time and performed live, yet it will never be the same without Freddie Mercury. His all-inclusive presence was a big part of whom Queen were. Later on we've got Adam Lambert and Queen, but I'll discuss that later in this video. With the absence of Freddie Mercury, Queen are not Queen. That's how I see it. Sure, Queen can get brief instances of popularity, such as their Bohemian Rhapsody movie, but that's all they are, brief instances. The Bohemian Rhapsody movie being released has resulted in Queen experiencing a massive resurgence in popularity, but it will naturally fade out, and I don't know if Queen will be able to experience popularity in the same way they have experienced with the movie, at least in the future. However, how could Queen experience popularity once again? Let me just make this intelligible. Queen are popular as of now. I'd say that 2018 was the most successful year Queen have had in decades. It was inconceivable that Queen were able to somehow come out of nowhere and be as well liked as they were decades before, especially in this day of age. Nevertheless, how would they achieve this kind of popularity again? This is complicated. Popularity is something they will always experience on a small scale from now on, understandably. Yet, for them to reach the same popularity they have reached with the movie, they would need to either release a sequel, which I've discussed already so there is no need to discuss it here, or release an album. However, releasing an album seems unlikely. I'm sure the surviving band members of Queen could make a good album, well, Brian May and Roger Taylor, but I don't see this happening. Okay, time to discuss Queen and Adam Lambert. Well, the fact that they are touring will allow them to increase their level of popularity, but only slightly. This is due to it mainly being for Queen fans, and not really something the general public would enjoy, I don't think. I think I've made my points here. Let's move on to how you, yes you, the viewer, can help Queen. Helping Queen. What can you do? Well, there are many things you can do to support Queen in this time of declining popularity. Nonetheless, I think the most important thing is to listen to their music. Music is something that can never be lost, and the countless songs and albums Queen have released are really quite something. Listen to some of the band's songs, listen to some of the band's lesser known songs. I don't care, but if you like this group, make the most of their music they created. Something else that can be done is watch Queen's live shows. The live shows were and still are an essential element of Queen, and the group always have astounding live shows, so watch Queen and Adam Lambert, or reflect on the past and perhaps experience a rush of nostalgia, observing Queen at the Rock Montreal, Queen at the Rainbow, Queen at Live Aid, and perhaps Queen at Wembley. I don't mind. Obviously you don't have to be listening to Queen all the time and watching their live shows 24/7, that would be ludicrous. The point I'm trying to make is that there is nothing we can do to avoid Queen losing their popularity. As I stated earlier, what goes up must come down. To sum it all up, this is a difficult subject to get to grips with. Sometimes it's upsetting to think, what can Queen do from now? What can we expect in the future? It is unknown what Queen will do in time to come. They don't really have many options. It's a complicated situation, and not even us as the public are able to help Queen and save them from their popularity inevitably declining. But I digress. I want you to take something from this video, and that is, although we may not be certain about what the future holds for Queen, the one thing we can be certain about is the fact that Queen's electrifying music will never cease to exist, and we can continue to appreciate the music Queen produced for many more years to come, no matter what happens to Queen.